What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Your Tremors. Today, we're continuing on from our previous episode. If you haven't checked that out, go check it out. It's basically the unboxing, both of the installs that we're going to knock out. We're here at Shermanators, and we just plugged in the first Bronco. So this is our buddy's Bronco. Mark already has a 4-door. That's on portals. His has the Tybus setup. He's on a belt tick lift with Tybus setup. What we're going to do with this is we're going to rock the 74 welds. So the 74 welds are the ones that are like the most popular, I would say, around here in the States, because they're obviously in the US. They are billet. They are probably the prettiest ones on the market. So we're going to install this set, take you guys basically step by step. We have all the instructions printed out. So we're just going to go based off of what they said, and then we'll let you know how easy, how tough, what we would change or anything of that nature. But again, we do have a werewolf setup also that's going to go on my Bronco. So make sure you stick around for each episode. But this is going to be the install 2-door on this Bronco. And then we're going to go out and test both of them. Both of them are 2-doors. Both of them are white. Both of them are on MT38s from Falcon. Same wheels. Basically identical. I'm even going to go get the same sliders, so that way we can have the most truest test too that's out on basically YouTube. A lot of people either have one brand or the other, and they're very biased. We're going to take that away, and we're going to go out, beat them up, give you guys true facts, give you guys if it's even worth it to have portals on your rig, because honestly, we're dummies. We don't know anything about these. We've never had them. We've either had IFS, and then we also had straight axles in the Jeeps and whatnot. But this is totally a new world to us, but it is becoming one of the hot things, hot commodities out in the off-road trim. So what we're going to do is install them on here. We'll do some measurements on where it sits right now with 38s, and then we'll show you the differences as soon as we install it, and then make some changes to the suspension, do all those things. But Johnny Dang and Mr. Shermanator are here. We're going to knock this one out first, and then we'll move on to the second one. 74 welds. Let's go. All right, so what we're going to do, just to show you the differences in what changes in the portal, because it doesn't matter what size you are when you start, and we're just going to show you what it is right now. So it's in the flat area right now. We're at what, 12 and a half ish?
Yeah, about 12 and 3/8, 12 and a half.
So we're at 12 and a half, 12 and 3/8, right off the bottom of the diff. So we'll measure that, and then we're going to measure the front crossbeam that basically protects the engine and an oil pan, and then we'll give you measurements after we lift it and show you where that changed. And mind you, this is on 38s. It's already got a nice lift, so it's already pretty tall, and the portals are supposed to give it another 4 inches of length, so it is going to get taller there, but we are going to fix the suspension, lower it a little bit. This one is 18 1/8. So now we're gonna lift it, take everything apart, and start doing the suspension setup and everything, and then we'll show you what it looks like after the portals without changing any other lifts and preload and things of that nature. And then we'll go ahead and mess with the coilovers and things, so that way it doesn't get too crazy tall, where it does get a little tippy and whatnot. But we're gonna go through all of the install, and yeah, wish us luck. Johnny Dang, we got this. Let's get it. All right, team, so before you get started, you obviously want to go through the notes, make sure you have the tools that you need. One thing that doesn't come in this installation kit, if you watched the previous video, is you need lug nuts. So before you even get started, grab some lug nuts, grab some gear oil, because there is a process where you got to drain it. This is the good stuff, so you don't want to waste this one. Go get some more gear oil. That way you can put gear oil in all the boxes, and then you can use that to top it off after you do the braking period. But you do have to put the truck in brake service mode. It's called brake maintenance mode. So they do give you instructions on here, but you can go on YouTube and go ahead and knock that out. So make sure you do that first, because it helps you basically touch the brakes. If you're going to be releasing pressure, all those things, unplugging them, you got to make sure you do that correctly, because that is a nightmare if you don't do it correctly. We've had brakes fail, not work anymore. You need to forward scan it, and it's a whole ass mess. So make sure you guys do that first, and then we'll get started and do the rest. Alrighty, so we just came back in. We secured some lug nuts. So yes, you do have to go buy these. We went to American Tire and got these black ones. They were $100. Now we're back in. Johnny Dang already started on the rear. He removed the shafts. So Johnny Dang, talk about the process. Pretty simple, right?
Yeah, pinch off the brake line, remove the caliper. Then we got 4 bolts holding the actual axle shaft in. The training bolts down there.
So that's what it looks like. That's the first piece. It's up. All right, team. So the next process is basically to locate your box. So what we're doing, we're starting on the rear. Usually you start on the front according to their specific instructions, but that doesn't really matter. We just did it this way because our garage and the system we're using to lift this and get it ready, it was easier for us to start in the rear. So the next thing you have to do is locate this window. You remove that, and then you locate the shaft that goes in the rear. And the passenger side is longer, so you're going to find the passenger side if you're starting on the passenger side, and you're going to put that one in there first. It does give you a couple instructions here, so make sure you read them. You have to grease a couple sections and whatnot. But that's what we're working on next.
Get it all around.
We call it good.
That's it. And then we're gonna grab, again, we're gonna grab the longer shaft because it is the passenger side. Grab that bad boy. And then all you're basically gonna do is you're gonna grab one of the rings, you're gonna snap the ring in here, and then you're gonna put the cap back on. So pretty simple process. Johnny Dang's going in. Take your time too, man. There it goes. Went all the way in. And then we're gonna put the ring in there, and then put the cap back on. All right, so the next step we're doing is putting the studs in the 4 holes with red Loctite. That's what the instructions say. So that's what we're moving on. And then after that, what you're gonna do is you're gonna start pressing everything in and then follow the next step. So there's an O-ring that you have to put in there. You have to apply some grease into that. You're gonna do the nylon lock nuts into the studs that we just did that are also gonna go in. But that's once you start putting it back into the axle. So we'll start working on that next. I do want to point something out real quick. We did install the studs, and we were looking through all the hardware, and it's just nice, man. You know, sometimes you install parts and things are not labeled. This gives you an actual breakdown and a part number according to their direction. So, like for instance, that says HW502. There was a little baggie that said H502, and then you had the exact part that matched it. When you're doing installs and you really never done it, it's just nice to be able to just look at that and then look at that, match it, and then it's kind of made for dummies. So it worked out. We're gonna put this back in now, and then we'll put these nylon locks in there, and then we'll get moving and do the next step. So the studs are gonna go in. And
The race needs to come out. God damn it.
the what? All right, so Johnny Dang was gonna go into the install, and we found something. Johnny Dang, explain it.
Yo, so everybody knows that there's a bearing race right here. Gotta pull the bearing race out so the portal could slip in. Got a nice flat surface right here. With that bearing race, it's just never gonna go in.
So yeah, right now what's happening, that bearing race is where the bearing from your stock shaft goes, and it seats on it correctly, but this is different, right? So it's gonna have to sit flat. So what we're gonna have to do is go rent that tool and get it out. You could possibly bang it out if you had some, you know, tool, or if you've done this before, I'm sure there's, you know, plenty of mechanic ways to do it. But because we are doing the install on our buddies, we are gonna just go rent the tool, do this correctly, and we're gonna get that thing pulled out. So Johnny Dank's gonna go do the other side. We're gonna run to the store, grab that, and also grab the gear oil that we're gonna need for each of the boxes, and we're gonna get it moving. But just before you even start the install, make sure you get that bearing race puller so that you can get that out of there. But yep, we'll be right back. Alrighty, team. So after about an hour of going back and forth, we thought we had the wrong portal boxes for the rear. It turns out that we didn't. Mark actually had a Dana 60 set ordered, so these actually are pretty cool. If you order a portal box for a Dana 60, it has this, it's like an adapter, yeah, and that adapter actually goes on the end of this. So we were trying to put that in there with the adapter on, and obviously it wasn't fitting because it's for a Dana 60, but it's easy. You just remove the adapter. It's a nice little billet piece, and it comes with everything you need, but you can take that off and then it slides right in. So we got that in. We took the race out of it. We went and got a tool and got that out of the way, and now the box is in. So it's looking pretty nice, man. But we're almost defeated by this little thing right here, just because nothing was fitting, getting the wrong boxes for the werewolves, and then we ran into an issue with these. But 74 Weld was nice enough to reply, so you got to give them some props. They called Mark right back, told us what we could do to fix this, and we got them in. So we're going to continue the process here and keep you guys updated. Alrighty, team. So last night we actually called it quits. We stopped, had some dinner, just kind of hung out, since we're not in a rush to finish this process, but we are back on it. So what's happening now is after we finish installing everything, we threw the rotor on and kind of just started filling out where the lines and stuff were going to go. Johnny Dank's plugging in the caliper again. So this is probably the scariest process of this whole thing, especially on a Bronco. If you're putting portals on something else that doesn't have the system that we do, you probably don't have to worry about it. But the Bronco has a real delicate brake situation that if you do mess up and you don't bleed these correctly and put the truck in its maintenance mode and all that shenanigans, these will lock up, give you errors, and it creates a big headache. So our buddy Mark actually had to deal with this when we did his 4-door. Not us, but the shop that did it for him. Something happened, and then when he was at the dealership for a couple weeks, they couldn't figure out the codes, figure out certain things, but we followed the directions dot to dot. So we're hoping we don't have to deal with any of that. But what we're going to do now is we're plugging in everything back. We're going to bleed the caliper, put it all together, then do the other side, do the same thing, and then we're going to put the tires, drop this side, and start working on the front. So Mr. Johnny Dang is hooking everything up. What is going on exactly?
Well, we're just adding up like you said, adding up new lines, getting everything plugged back in, and we're gonna get ready to bleed it in a couple minutes.
Yeah, so there's just a bunch of clips and stuff that they give you to get all these lines out of the way and situated, so that way nothing gets damaged. And then obviously the brake line is a nice little bracket. Everything is Loctited, torqued, and everything to its specs already. So yeah, we're just gonna finish this.
Followed the instructions.
Yeah, we're gonna finish this side, finish the other side, and then again move on to the front. Alrighty, team. So as we were putting situation so we can get all this bled. So this is basically what the instructions show you. You put it up here up top, and there's a we're gonna gravity bleed it, and then it tells you to bleed it on top before you mount it on the bottom for bleeding purposes because the Bronco is super delicate. And we went to the other side and we're trying to stick the rotary inside. And this is the kind of stuff that I hate because it's such an expensive piece. But I don't know if it happened during shipping. I know it wasn't myself because I had them stored in the garage. Nothing was stacked on top of them or anything like that. But this one's actually bent quite a bit here. Has a nice little bend towards down. And it's a quality control for sure. I think they went and put it in there without checking it. Something like this is really hard to bend unless you drop these. And this would be damaged anywhere else. That shouldn't be bent. And that sucks because now we're having to do something that we shouldn't be doing to $20,000 portals. So out of the box, that's a little disappointing. We're going to go ahead and fix it. But I would say open up all your boxes if you do get something like this. Or even, you know, it doesn't matter what brand it is. Double check everything. Because now that we quality controlled everything, did open boxes, each one had problems. Each one of our boxes either was missing something, we needed more stuff, or, you know, now we're finding things that are broken. So, yeah, this sucks too because it's not an easy fix. You got to remove all this shit and then replace that stud. Yeah, just a heads up. Go and look through all your shit before you actually start mounting it. And it's, you know, a lesson learned all across the board, not just with portals, but it is very sad that a 74 Weld is coming in with some damages. Alright, team, so the first thing you have to do after you have the whole situation mounted is to gravity bleed it. Gravity bleeding is pretty easy. All you have to do is make sure that your master cylinder doesn't go dry and you keep the reservoir full, and then you have somebody checking it. So you're just going to open the valve, you're just going to kind of let it out. You're going to start seeing bubbles, and then once you start seeing complete nice flow with no more bubbles, you can seal it and close it here, close it up top, and then you're pretty much done with the gravity bleeding. It does call for regular traditional bleeding also, which you have to go inside. On the Bronco, you actually have to turn it on. So we're going to turn on the Bronco. Mr. Shrimp's going to pump it. We're going to open the valve, make sure there's no more air in there. Once you gravity bleed it, though, most of the times it gets all the air out. One more thing we are doing also, we don't have the newer brackets that are for the calipers that go down here. So 74 Weld actually had sent an email out to say to retorque these right before you actually start driving it. So what we're going to do is we're going to retorque those, drive on it, and then once we get home we'll get the new brackets on and everything. We're only driving about 50-40 miles, so we'll check it periodically as we go home just to make sure everything's okay. And then, you know, we're not going to do any wheeling basically till we get those swapped out. The bleeding process is going on right now. Pretty simple. Again, we're going to start it. This is the most important part. You got to put it up here, and then you mount it on after the bleeding process is done. All right, team, so we're pretty much wrapped up back here. The only thing we're going to do now is just put the breather, which it goes here, and it goes down and it hooks up near the drive shaft back there. Then it gives you the instructions, gets you the catch can. Pretty simple install there. Just go through with it. And we are also going to fill the boxes. So you are going to be using 75/90. You're going to use something cheap at first to fill them, drain them, get them all taken care of. And then you're going to actually fill it with what they gave you afterwards, which is this Pro Gear high performance stuff. And it's all taking just 300 milliliters or 10 ounces. Which is not a lot. It's a pretty small box, so this one has a measurement, so 300 millimeters right there. We're gonna go ahead and fill this, put it in the boxes. We'll do one for each one, and then yeah, we'll drain it after 200 miles as required by them. That's just for the braking period, and then you'll change it every 3,000 miles or so, depending on how you're driving it and whatnot. Honestly, maintenance I think is going to be key for these boxes. That's probably one of the downsides of these portal boxes is each one does have to be drained. You're going to have to basically do it like an oil change. And yeah, it's just upkeep, right? So it's a little bit more of a process now. Every time you go and service your truck, you got to pay to play. So portal boxes are going on. We're going to complete all of this today, and then we're going to start filling each box. So if you guys have any questions, drop them below, but we're going to keep grinding it out. The back's pretty much completed. We're going to put the tires back on, lift the front, and start knocking that out. Alrighty, so we're going back, and I'm going to take you back to this catch can situation. So one thing that we've been kind of like busting our heads and just kind of getting upset with, not just one company, but both, is the lack of like all the materials. You know, we got these catch cans, and then we have to route these hoses that are going like pretty far distances And this is all we get. Like, they sent these Amazon catch can systems to us, but they didn't get us enough hose. So now they want us to stretch this hose on both ends from one end of the axle to the other, and it doesn't reach. It's not expensive. It's not any of that. But the time, now we have to go back out. We've gone out 3 times to go buy different things. If you know we're going to need extra hose.
Like Werewolf.
Like, look, Werewolf did provide their pieces, right? So their hose, and that's more than enough. I guarantee you there's going to be extra, right? But the thing is, we can't even use it. And this hose is actually a whole lot better than this hose, too. So, yeah, I mean, on the 74 Weld side, right? And the catch can doesn't do anything crazy. There's no scientific, like, wild shit going on here. So I get it. They can use a cheap one. But at least give us the hose. Give us everything we need to be able to mount it. Because every time we go back to the drawing board, and mind you, most people are going to be like me. They're going to be thinking that everything's in there, or at least open up the instruction manual, and the manual doesn't even tell you need to go buy these things. And it sucks. It sucks. So now we're going to have to go back out to the store, go get the hose. Hopefully they find it, and most people take time off their days or whatever to get this shit done. And what if it was a holiday? Nothing's going to be open. We can't get the hose that we need. And it just creates a big mess, man. Just provide the shit that you guys are gonna need. It's not even in the instructions. Like, you look at the part list to look up what you need, and it nowhere says that you need to go buy hose. So sorry, it's just my rant, but it's true. It sucks. We already went to go get brake cleaner. We went to go get gear oil. All these things that are not even on the list till you get to the step where it says, "Oh yeah, you're gonna need gear oil," and it's like, it's pretty frustrating, man. So. Sorry if we sound like crybabies, which it is what it is. It's 20 grand, 16 grand, and we're missing shit. Right, Shermanator?
For sure. I just got back.
Missing in action.
Alrighty, so according to the instructions, and we just spoke about it, you want to tear everything apart before you start going. In the instructions, it does tell you do a different step from what we're going to do. So because we had the back brakes already tearing apart, we found that it's easier to move this and do the brake line first, lead it, do all of that, and then make sure the brakes are all working, and then continue on with the next step. It's just a step that we're going to change, but if you follow the instructions, it works that way too. You remove the caliper, move everything out of the way, and then start working on it. This is what we decided. We're going to go ahead and knock out the brake line, bleed the calipers, get them out of the way, get them ready, and then work on the rest. Put the caliper back on, and everything will be done. Alright, team, so Johnny Ding's actually already removed the other side, but I'm going to show you what we took off exactly. I already talked about it a little bit, but you're going to need a 13, 18, 10 mil. You're going to need a 35 axle nut, and that's pretty much it. It should be pretty standard all the way across the board. We did have FabTech tie rods. It's a little bit different, but you're going to take that tie rod off there. You're going to remove the upper from there. You're going to remove a couple brackets from here for ABS, and then they're going to remove the bracket that's down there, and also the ball joint that's at the bottom of the A-arm. So once you remove that, you're going to remove this whole thing, and you're going to put the new box in. You're also going to have to cut your CVs. We'll show you what that process looks like when we get there. The biggest thing is make sure you have the 35 millimeter deep socket, because if you have it shorty, it might not work correctly. We had to work around that. But other than that, this all comes off relatively easy. You're going to leave your CV in on the diff, just kind of leave it hanging, and then you're going to put it back in, and we're going to go ahead and cut it. So 74 Weld does actually give you like a plastic pipe where you can slide it in, measure it, so that way you do cut both of them evenly. Everything else is basically Ford standard or Bronco standard, so you're just going to remove everything, put kind of everything back together. So that's pretty much it, the breakdown of removing. We'll show you what the other side looks like. The biggest gripe is really not having the proper tools, when it comes to axle nuts and those kind of things. But if you do, everything will pop off. So everything's loose here. We're gonna start ripping stuff off, and we'll put the new one back on. Alrighty, so once the A-arm is out, you can see the big differences here. The billet piece from 74 Weld, obviously a lot thicker. The box obviously pushes you out a little bit more. The studs are bigger. The strength is obviously going to be a lot different. This one is also double sheared, so you'll see the double there. You're going to put the you're going to put your tie rod in there, and then put a long bolt all the way through it to make it a lot stronger. The breather, and then we fill this oil. This is the bracket that supposedly had issues with it. Ours looks like it's pretty precise, but 74 Weld did fix this problem. They did send out brackets basically to everybody by now. We don't have them here. They're at the shop that they sent them to where we first got our portals, because I couldn't get them at home. But we'll swap this out. This should be fine. We're going to tighten it, make sure that it's good to go home, and then we'll swap this bracket out and do it. But there's a good comparison, man. Stock arm versus 74 Weld billet. Yeah, baby. Alrighty, team. So now what we're doing is we're going to be cutting the shafts like I told you guys earlier. This is the precision tool that they give you. So they give you a pipe that goes from here basically to the back of this, the CV shaft, and then you put the nut back in, and then it gives you the exact measurement basically that you're going to be cutting off. So we're going to be cutting off the tip. Usually you don't want to be cutting off the tip, but we're cutting off the tip. Dude, are we circumcising this thing?
Just the tip, dog.
So we're cutting just the tip off, and that'll give you the measurement for the portal box. That way it doesn't stick out too much. The pipe is plastic though, so just be careful when you tighten it. You're not going to like overdo it to break it or anything like that. If you want to measure, you can. But there it is. Precision tools are on deck. We're going to be using that to cut it. And yeah, should be good. Let's get it. All right, so once you cut the CV, you're going to NECs. You're going to put an O-ring right there, and you're going to start getting the portal box ready. So the A-arm box, you're going to put some washers. One's going to go there. One's going to go there. One's going to go there. And they are pretty precise. Yeah, this is the only one that's not really recessed, but everything else fits nice and tight, man. So it's really nice that everything's starting to fit correctly. And we're moving on. So that is, we have 2 more pages to go, and that's a wrap. So we're going to start putting this on and show you what that looks like as we go. Let's get it. All right, team, just wanted to show you how nice this looks once it's all pretty much complete. All we have to do is put the caliper in. But that's the setup right there. The rotor's in. Everything's pretty much done. The only thing we need to put is a tie rod. So you're going to put a bracket here. You're going to put a bracket here. This one's going to hold the brake line once you install it. And then it's all completed. So top is mounted. Bottom is mounted. Everything's torqued to spec according to 74 Weld's paperwork. The last thing, like I said, we just have to put this tie rod on. We're going to do the caliper right now. And then this side will be complete. We'll put the tire on. Go to the other side and finish up. Let's get it. Alrighty, so the rear's done. We just finished the passenger side. And you can see it's a thing of beauty, man. These 74 Weld portals definitely look beautiful. Again, these are 22% reduction. They are pretty stout. These do come with rotors, unlike the other kit that does not use all your factory stuff. He does have FabTech tie rods, so it's a little bit different than what you're going to see on your Bronco if you install it. And then obviously if you're doing a Tacoma or something different, it's going to change a couple things. For the most part, everything is going to kind of install the same. You're going to do the upper, lower, tie rod, and things of that nature. So we're going to go ahead and fill it. It's the same process as the one back there. You're going to go ahead and do the fill plug, check the drain plug, make sure it's tight. And then all we have to tighten now is the breather. It looks like it's kind of tight already. We'll take the drain plug off here, fill that, and again, 200 miles for break-in, and then every 3,000 to 4,000 miles is actual oil change. So when you do the oil change, you're gonna have to do all the boxes. That's one of the cons. I know I've said it a couple times already, but it is gonna be one of those things you're gonna have to do with the service and whatnot. So there it is, man. 74 Weld portal Bronco completed. Once he gets the other side on, what we're going to do is we're going to remeasure the points that we measured at the beginning, give you guys the differences, and then show you the poke. We'll pull this out, drive it a little bit, and then we'll put the miles on it tomorrow, give you guys some daily driving differences and how it looks and how it reacts, and if we have any more rubbing, if we pushed anything out the way, those kind of things. And we'll give you an update, though. So stick around. We'll get the other side done and get back to you guys. This is what it looks like. It's a monster. And just letting you guys know, I mean, there's so much activity down there, so much room for activity down there. We'll show you that here shortly. And it's just about touching the garage up there. You actually have like a quarter of an inch, dude. Yeah, it's not even touching. So the problem with this is it doesn't come out of the garage. So we have to lose about 4 inches to get it out of here because it's just thick. You can see how close it is to there. So what we're gonna do is obviously air down first, get it out of there. We also have skates. Worst case scenario, but hopefully we don't have to do that because it can get real sketchy. And but the portal setup is complete. 74 welds went on. Stock stuff came off. It's all here. Those are the stock rear shafts, the spindles. And remember, you go from not semi-flow to a full flow too, which makes everything stronger. And in general, the actual installation was about, I don't know, I would say about a 7. It's wild. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna measure the front and back so we can compare it to how we had it. Okay. All right, here we go. Johnny Dang.
Yo,
give us a measure, even though you already cheated.
Don't tell the people, man. So we're at 22 3/4 right there. So we
went to 22 3/4, and that's from our 18 1/4.
Yeah, so we gained 4.5 inches.
4.5 inches, and the activities is crazy down here, dude.
It's like,
yeah,
nothing.
Yeah, there's, like Sherm said, where's the boulders at? You know, line them up. Let's find out what happens. That's the front. We're gonna go to the back now. Let's go. All right, now we're on the back side. And previously we got 12 and 3/8.
It's right there. We're 16 1/4.
So 16 1/4 in the back. So yeah, makes sense. About 4 inches, 4.5 almost square.
About 4.5, yeah, roughly.
Yeah, so the specs on the actual portals were correct. Everything is lining up the way it's supposed to. What we're going to do now is we're going to clean our surfaces here. We're going to give you some closing thoughts on the installation. And then we're going to figure out how to get it out of the garage, because that's the next thing. So just keep that in mind if you are installing it at home. You're going to get real tall real fast.
Make sure you have a jack high enough, too. A big jack.
Yeah, make sure you have the proper jacks, things of that.
Giant jack stand.
Yeah, make sure you guys have an off-road jack. Would be really handy. Giant jack stands would help. And then just a little bit of brains. Even though we ran out, we're going to get this out. And then we'll come and talk to you. All right. What's up, team? So we're here. We're going to close out the video. Give you guys our expertise or non-expertise.
Semi-pro.
Yeah, semi-pro opinions about 74 Weld and at least the overall like install process, what we think about it, and go on from there. What are your first thoughts, Johnny Dang?
Honestly, right out the box, it's actually a really nice kit.
Okay.
So everything looks really nice. Everything's real pretty. Putting it together, everything fit nice. Like we didn't have to modify anything crazy, do any crazy things to make it work.
Yeah.
Like out the box, you know it's gonna work. Everything's gonna fit. It's really good. I like it. I like that part of it.
Yeah. So yeah, and then same thing for me. The one gripe, I think the difference between like, especially because we made the first video where we're breaking down both setups, opening them the boxes and whatnot. I really do wish that the boxes from 74 Weld, at least shipping wise, were a little bit nicer because they were all crushed, and that's how we picked them up. It wasn't like that we did it, you know. Not that it's really gonna damage much, but when you look at the install, there was a couple things that were broken or misaligned or whatever, and that all happens during shipping.
Yeah, if
either
the packaging was a little better, it'd be 10 times better because we wouldn't have a broken catch can.
Yeah, there wouldn't be a broken catch can. You
know.
guys saw the stud that was not pushed all the way, and that could have been at install, or it could have been because somebody put something on top of it, broke, dropped it. Whatever may have happened. It is insulated. It does have that foam stuff that most packages do. But yeah, I mean, packaging could be just a little bit better when it comes to that. But other than that, the kit out the box looks amazing. Obviously, if you're even in the market, if you're watching this, probably because you're interested in portals or you're even thinking about possibly buying them. The kit itself looks expensive. It feels expensive. Obviously, we'll get into the cons about it. The pros for me are obviously the clearance. You can see behind us the Broncos is definitely massive. We're going to talk about all the performance aspects and how they handle afterwards. But it is a $20,000-ish kit. Definitely takes some thinking and then maybe some conversations with some loved ones about possibly pulling the trigger on a kit like this. But if you really think about it and you go back into why portals honestly are doing so well right now, it's really because the expense of what you're spending on suspension, tires, re-gear, uppers, lowers, especially on an IFS rig, you're having to replace so much to get the benefits that these give you out the box. So if you're a Bronco owner and you haven't done anything, you're a Bronco and you've kind of been saving yourself, I would honestly just go Sasquatch, put portals on it, and call it a day because you're going to be able to do so much. You're not going to push this truck to its limits for a very long time, and you'll be able to stuff 37, 38s with no issues. Whether it be this portal setup or any other setup, you're going to get about the same thing. So when it comes to the lift, performance-wise, one gear reduction is a little bit lower than the other one. Go watch the older video, you can see that. But right now, right out of the box, the 74 Welds, honestly, perfect. They were awesome. Everything plugged in the way it's supposed to. Everything fit the way it's supposed to.
For me, like installing the kit, I like that we didn't have to split the case. They made it super easy for us. Hey, take this cover off, put it in, just do what you got to do, and then put it right back on.
Yeah, and a lot of the things that you see out there are basically, can you do it yourself, right? Everybody's scared. We were too. We don't know shit about these portals, and we still, I mean, we still really don't. Now we kind of understand how they work and what they replace and why they did what they did. But for the main part, we don't really know, right? We haven't really gone out. We haven't driven on them. I mean, we backed that out of here. That was literally it. Like,
we didn't even get it all the way out of the
Yeah, we had to air it down, and we had to do a couple things to get it out of the pier because it was so tall. And we still have to fix the angles, do some fine-tuning on shocks and whatnot. But what the portals do give you is they give you a reduction of 22%. So just to give you an example, like if you are, I'll give you a Jeep gearing ratio just because most people drive Jeeps. If you were at 410 and you put portals on your Jeep, you would be at basically a 5-gear ratio. And it might not sound crazy because you can re-gear to like a 529, but your ring and pinion gets really small. Once you get past the 5 line, your pinion gets a lot weaker, where these actually help you keep that strength. So you have the bigger ring, the bigger pinion, and then you have obviously the gears on the outside. So that's one of the big benefits if you were putting them on a Jeep, and obviously the lift and everything else that comes with that, right? So the kit itself, I think amazing out of the box, and then the install process was pretty easy. By now you guys saw what we went through. It took us a full day, but mostly because A, we were recording, B, we wanted to make sure that it was completely the same as what the instructions read, because if they didn't give us proper instructions, we were going to tell you what that was. And I mean, that's really what it was, right? And the cons, I mean, let's you go with
There's
a few
a
of the
couple
cons.
of cons that I found. Like instructions were a big thing for us.
Yeah.
Like for us, we had these conversion rings.
Yeah.
That we didn't know about, but
Yeah.
they ordered it with it. If the instructions would have even just been a simple description, say, hey, with this conversion ring or whatever, then we know, hey, this is there.
Yeah,
This is an option.
and that could have been in a, you know, because one of our buddies ordered the kit and we installed it on his Bronco, and he's letting us borrow to test it. It could have been something that we communication wise, it would just be nice if it was on their papers, because their instructions aren't horrible. Okay, so they do come with some information, but there's definitely some missing
What
steps.
is in there is like very detailed and very good.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of stuff that's missing that
is
we
important.
overlooked, and then we didn't find out till later that we had to install.
Exactly, and I
So-
think the way that this kit is being sold to the market and how little information there is about it, if you give it to a couple dummies like us and we're just like, I think we could figure this out, having more information is better. Like, we shouldn't have to call anybody, try to figure this out online. And the one biggest piece that I see that's missing from the install itself is like a sheet like this with just all the tools you need. It would have saved us probably 2 to 3 trips.
Tree?
I know, trees. 2 to 3 trips out to like O'Reilly's, Harbor Freight, those kind of things.
Yeah, before your start guide.
yeah,
that would
and-
be really actually helpful.
Yeah, and possibly, I mean, they're probably thinking, hey, they're going to go to a shop and get it installed, and they might have all the tools. But that's regardless. That's besides the fact, right? Like, they should still, like, this should take somebody, 2 hours, maybe an hour to put together a nice presentation of what the
Yeah,
tools
for
that you
sure.
need. There's not a ton of them. It's an 8, a 10, a 14, 13, 18s.
19,
Obviously, like your
21s,
axle nut
26,
socket.
35s.
We have the race pooler. Like, we didn't know about that. Just minor things. Plus, you know, torque keys, Allen wrenches, things of that nature. Plus fittings, right? Like, we had a 35, but it wasn't a deep socket. So you might have the right axle nut until you start breaking stuff in, and then you're like, oh, yeah, this was, nobody said it was a deep socket. You know what I mean?
It works, but it doesn't work the greatest.
Yeah,
we
so-
did get really close to stripping it out because it wasn't quite right, and we couldn't get the right one.
Exactly. So we're pretty mechanical, right? We were able to figure out some things, but it would just be nice that. And the only reason I even gripe about this is because it has such a big ticket, right? You're spending $20,000.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to go spend another $300 on shit that should be in the kit. It was missing oil. It does, but and the reason is they do give you oil, but they tell you not to use that oil first. They tell you to use cheaper oil and then go back and put their oil. So they should have just given you all of that.
Which is fine, but that's still something. Hey, heads up, buy some oil before you start.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
way you're not halfway through. I got to run to.
Yeah, or
What if
you're-
this is your only vehicle.
Yeah, and you're
know?
mid install and having to go out. It's a little annoying, man. And then
Same thing with the hose, the breather hoses.
yeah, the catch
Like,
cans.
they did come with hoses, but they're like this long, and we have to go 5-6 feet into
Yeah,
the
and
vehicle.
the shitty part about it is it does say on their paperwork that they're that it's in the kit. So they bought a couple Amazon basically pretty cheap,
yeah, they're just
catch
generic
cans,
catch cans that you
which-
can get anywhere.
which honestly they work, right?
They're decent quality.
Yeah.
They're nice looking, but like the hose, like a simple
yeah,
hose for us.
especially because they have you mount it where it's really really far.
They know
So you
exactly where it's mounting. It's not like, hey, you guys mount it somewhere and figure it
Yeah.
out. No, they know exactly. They got brackets for it.
yeah,
They got really
they've
nice
done it
brackets.
before, exactly.
So, that's a simple thing they could have done. If they do it and they're kids and they forgot, hey, someone should call it. good.
Or just tell you, hey, look, the hose that's in there is not long enough. You have to go get your own. Like,
Exactly.
even if you told me, I would have been happier with it because I could have gone out, ordered it on Amazon.
2-3 weeks ago.
I
we
went to
could've had it.
O'Reilly's and they were selling me some hose that was like $10 a foot. It ended up like if I really wanted to do it and pay for it right now, it would have been like $300 on like rubber hose for what? You know what I mean? When I could go to Amazon, I could have ordered it a couple days ago and had way nicer quality, and it would have been nice. Jesus Christ, Johnny, dang!
Sorry. So I'm important, man.
This guy right here, dude.
Influencing.
Fuck, where were we at?
But yeah, no, something simple information.
Oh yeah, so we were talking about that hoses before Johnny Dang rudely interrupted us. But yeah, something so simple as just some information, right? I wasn't gonna pay $300 for rubber hoses, so now we have catch cans installed, but they're not even connected because we don't have the hose that we needed. And on a kit again, because it is $20,000. At least tell us we need to grab the extra shit, you know what I mean? Or just supply it. An extra $100 in parts in this kit, we would have been super happy. And instead of you guys getting like, hey, look.
If this was a $5,000 kit that was inexpensive and stuff,
yeah.
Hey, you know what? They didn't put it. Okay, not a big deal.
Yeah.
But $20,000.
Yeah.
Is a lot.
It's literally the most expensive one item kit you can buy. You can't long arm kit. It's not even that much. No. A couple, maybe if you went like really nice curries or something, it's probably 10 grand a piece, right?
Yeah, you'd have to do complete axle swaps, complete upgrades, chromoly axles, lockers, and then you're in that same range. Exactly. So with that being said, like the kit itself, it was just missing things, and it's really unfortunate, mostly because of the cost, right? Because most of our viewers, most of my friends, don't have $20,000 to just fork out at once. And if you are even thinking about it, or you got a fucking nice tax return, or you won the lotto, and even worse, like if you really work really hard for your money and you finally save up enough to buy these things, then you get a kit and you don't have everything in it and you spent that much. It was hard. It was hard to get that kit. And then to plan a whole day, you possibly miss work, possibly use your day at holidays, move time away from your family, all those kinds of things that you do put into a full day's work of getting this install corrected, right? And yes, the shop might have had the hose. Yes, the shop might have had this and that, but we're not a shop. We did it ourselves. So, and they sell it to you that way. They sell it to you as a bolt-on, basically, application, right? It takes a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of things here and there. One thing that I do give 74 Weld props is their presentation is awesome. And as soon as we emailed Quinn, and it was pretty late, probably like 7 or 8 last night, about a situation we were having with the rear. He ended up calling our buddy that purchased them, and we got some answers right away. Yeah, that was cool.
So that was pretty cool, because he didn't have to. I mean, we would have been really pissed, and we'd have done some scummy shit probably to try to get some answers. But it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool that he did do that. He puts out that his shit is the best. His engineering is the best. His parts are the best. Race ready, all these things. Just finish the kit, man. Give us some hoses. Give us all the oil. And we would be
the best kit.
Yeah, be the best kit.
Simple things to be the best kit.
Exactly. Minor tweaks, right? Minor tweaks about the whole thing. The actual kit installed, I think the only gripe I have is what we've been talking about.
Yeah, I wish the brake lines were a little better. You know, they look nice and everything, but they do hang low. They're way out there.
Yeah.
You know, we looked at a couple other kits. They're a little different.
Yeah.
But the brakes that's just my biggest.
Yeah, and we don't know.
Fear.
And we don't know.
We haven't tested them yet.
We're about to install the Werewolf kit also. We're going to figure out where they routed their lines, but these lines definitely are out quite a bit for us that we rock crawl. Like Johnson Valley with that thing, with loose rocks.
It's scary.
It's a little scary. I'm not going to lie. Even though it's tall, got all the clearance, does all that awesome shit, the brake lines are out there. So,
because the way we wheel, we're definitely going to test that limit.
There is some Broncos out there that already wheel and do their things, so they haven't had the issue. I haven't seen any of that. But just looking at them, it's a little scary for us. So carrying that with us is definitely a thing. Another thing that I noticed on this kit, I did talk about it in our first video. If you haven't seen that one where we break down both of them together, is the extra bracing. The bracing on the rear ones especially, because they're kind of just hanging there. The Werewolves do have extra bracing. That's the only part of the install that I think.
Yeah, I wish these would have a little, like, just a bracket, just to hold it up just a little better, a little more strength.
Yeah.
That would make a night and day difference.
Yeah, and again, we don't know, right? We're not the engineers. We're not the ones that went and tested it. This is just a couple of dummies installing portals and trying to figure this whole shit out. And we're going to do all the testing after this. But we wanted to give you, I think, the utmost truth about this whole thing just because we really don't know.
Yeah.
Like, these are Broncos that we wheeled the piss out of. And my Bronco's pretty beat up from all the trips, all the wheeling, Fordyce, Rubicon, Colorado, San Hollow, Big Bear, Johnson Valley, you name it. Like, I've done it all in that two-door Bronco on 35s, 37s. I've blown up fenders. No CVs, I don't think. Yeah, steering rack blow up. Yeah. No CVs yet. I mean, my boot's probably pretty messed up right now. But it's done really well. So not only are we answering the question of costs, installation, but it's also like, is it really worth it? Is it really worth spending 20 grand, or is a $10,000 suspension slow build the better way to do this, right?
One question we definitely answered, is if you have a basic garage, can you install it in your garage? And you have basic knowledge, and
I think so. I think like again, if we go back to the list, right? If they give you a proper list of the tools that you need so you can get them ahead, or even provide it online. So like if say, hey, I purchased the kit today, right? And it's probably a week or two out. I can go out and buy the shit and have it already ready. Prep the garage, get everything ready. Hey, I'll need this. I'll need brake cleaner. I'll need this, this, and this. Boom, done.
Little refrigerator with some beer, call some buddies, and make a good weekend out of it.
Yeah, so
in reality, you can do it in 1 or 2 days.
Yeah, so instead of being 10 to 12 hours, now you're cutting that 6 hours. And then not only that, but the process is nicer. You're able to share that with your friends. Yeah. And then you'll be able to sell, like 74, if you do watch this, because hopefully you do, you'll be able to sell more kits. We'll be happier. Like the little parts where we bitched, I mean, think about it. $20 hose, $10 in oil. What else?
$2 in paper.
Yeah, $2 in paper. Maybe a couple hours to pay a marketing guy or somebody to design it. It's minor tweaks. Minor tweaks. I spent the ink to print it. You didn't send me this. I did this. Yeah. And yes, you can pull it up on a computer. Yes, you can pull it up on your phone. But that shit is annoying. Yeah. Sometimes you don't have service. It doesn't load up correctly. There's all these variables. Just print it. It's $3-4, and that goes out to every company. You ship it. Send some paper. Some of us are old school. We like this. We just like to flip and shit. Black and white. We don't even need color.
Even then, it's so much easier than trying to, I got to go to the website, try to find the portal link. I got to do this. Because there's multiple portals out there, and they're very similar, but they have different details. And if it's already in the box, it's perfect. Or even send the link when you do it.
And we're saying it here because it's the first video, but the other company we did, which is obviously Werewolf, because you're watching this because we're comparing them, they had no information. So we're going to go hard there too. Don't get me wrong. But if you're saying you're the best, these are the minor tweaks. An average Joe that's going to buy your product, that's what we need. Minor tweaks.
Those little things will make a big difference for those guys. Because I'm say, okay, hey, dude, this kit's great. It's ready to go right off the bat. Or, hey, yeah, it's a good kit, but, it's missing some stuff.
Yeah.
So that's
$200 to $300 more. And I don't even care. If you're spending $20,000, guess what? Somebody's going to pay $20,000, $500 if it's going to come completely done, ready to go. You can literally say, hey, as long as you have A, B, and C, this kit is installable, if that's even a word, in your garage by a couple guys having some beers, eating some pizza, and just chilling. Because that's honestly what we did. The last couple days, we broke down a couple sets of portals, took our time, enjoyed the process, also bitched and complained a little bit, but it was
a good experience.
And mostly, at the end, good experience. 74 Weld product is amazing. It's very beautiful. Yeah. Now, this is all pre-beating the shit out of it, okay? So let's hope it stands to continue its pressure and shit we're gonna throw at it, because it will see snow, it will see dirt, mud, water, daily driving, rocks, desert, and then we're gonna answer the question at the very, very end. Was portals or are portals really the move? It is a hot commodity right now. They're putting them on Toyotas, Lexus, G-Wagons. They used to put them on Hummers. I mean, it was, in other countries, it's something that they do all the time, but here in the States, it's becoming hot. You talk about it like Ultra 4 and those cars. A lot of those are ramped up with portals that are obviously way more expensive than what we have, but they are all the same, right? They're geared, they're stronger, the angles are better, things of that nature. That's why they're out there competing with them. But yeah, man, closing statements for me. 74 Weld, you guys did a great job on your product. A couple minor tweaks, and this is just install. I think customers will be a lot happier. I would be a lot happier. Johnny Dang would be saving probably 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah, for sure.
Mr. Shermanator's here. He's just watching us, kind of giving us tips because we forgot about shit. He would have been happier because he wouldn't have to driven anywhere. But overall, the kit was pretty easy to install. I would say from a 10, probably a 6 or 7. Is that pretty fair?
Yeah, I'd say definitely a 7.
Yeah.
Definitely a solid 7.
Yeah, because you still have to know a couple things, little tips and tricks of the trade, I guess you could say. But the kit itself bolts on correctly. There's really not much you have to do. The only thing we really had to cut was the shafts from the end, but it's part of the kit they give you.
That was one thing. One thing I didn't like too is cutting the axle shafts, because not everybody can cut it in their garage.
Yeah, that's true too.
If you do break it, you have to do it on the trail, or you have to get that ready for you before you leave, just in case.
Give the option. I think a good way to fix that. Give the option. Just say, hey, look, we'll send you the CVs. You send us back the cores. We won't charge you anything. They're already pre-cut, ready to go.
Or even offer a low profile version and a little, like
inch wider version.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's true too.
Some people don't want the extra width, but sometimes it's a lot easier to put it on.
Yeah. I mean, and that also takes engineering and all that. I think the simple fix is just having some that are cut and sell them to people, or allow it as an add-on so they don't have to do it. Just give them the extra. I mean, it's just more money you're gonna make anyways. If to be honest, right? If we're gonna spend $20,000, an extra $1,000 is really not gonna matter. Yeah. You're already there, baby. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially if it makes your life easier on the trail. Like, if we do break that axle, we're gonna have to make sure we have a grinder and that little precision tool.
Exactly, or have them pre-cut and ready for us. So, other than that, man, shout out to 74 Weld. They did put out a pretty good product that we think is going to do well. We are definitely going to test it. This is all based around just the install process and what it looks like now. We still got to adjust some angles and whatnot, but we knew that was going to happen. It's a little tall for our liking. And then we're also going to put the werewolves on mine, fix the angles there, fix all of that. And then we're going to take both two doors. Both are triangulated. Both are on the exact same 38, same rims, same specs. And we're going to go run them to the ground and see what happens. And then we'll come back. We'll give you some more info on the 74 Welds, how we really feel about them. And just take you through the whole process, man. Is $20,000 really worth 74 Welds? We're going to answer that. I think the install process passes in my book for the most part.
Definitely passes.
I would give it B+, A-. If it had all the parts that we needed, I think it would have been a solid A for sure. The fact that they answered the question that we needed at 7 or 8 o'clock p.m. was pretty nice. I'll give them some points for that. And then the kit itself is beautiful. I mean, the pieces are pretty nice.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we definitely know that it's still a learning process. It's all still new for everybody.
Yeah.
But, these little tips will make a big difference in the future.
So that's it, man. We appreciate you sticking around. Hopefully we didn't look too dumb. We try to break it down as honest as possible as we can without giving you guys a ton of engineering information, because a lot of us talk like this. We don't talk numbers. We don't really know measurements and things of that nature. Shermanator, does it pass?
It passes.
It passes. So, stick around. We'll have next episode will be the werewolf. It didn't go like we wanted it to either. Definitely go watch that episode. Go watch the unboxing of the other two, and we'll definitely see you guys next time. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Patreon, all that good stuff. The bug is also coming. We are going racing March 1st, and then we also have the Gatekeepers podcast. Go check that out. If you want to support us, check out Patreon. And that's a wrap, baby. We have Sportals. We're going to go beat them up. We're going to find out if that's really a hype or if it's true. Peace.